Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Apologies, we're running late. Lots I want to talk about. The Dow Jones bounced back a little bit today. We speculated it might. Usually before the market goes way tumbling down, there's a little volatility. 2 days of big falls, a little bounce back today. Again, I suspect Monday is going to be more bad news for the market. And I want to build on why that is, looking at Black Monday from October 19th, 1987, and also the Wall Street crash of October 29th, 1929. The purpose of looking at this is to understand how the market has been manipulated by the numbers, by the code of letters and numbers and dates on the calendar over the past century, or the better part of. So we're going to talk about that, the financial market, then we're going to jump into some other stories, including the significance of Kanye West and Jim Brown being at the meeting yesterday with Trump. I missed the Jim Brown piece. It factors into the narrative. Then we're just going to look at some other things, such as why Turkey's so big in the news today. We got 2 stories from Turkey. Why are there 2 stories from Turkey in the news today? Could it be a coincidence? Absolutely not. Just for fun, we're going to look at this thing. This guy that works for a news publication about polling, he explains how they accurately forecast the elections. Of course, we know how, because it's all rigged and scripted. And I got a big decode here on this First Man movie. I'm going to show you how this is synced up with the anniversary of the moon landing. This year was the 49-year anniversary. Big number to the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which control NASA, the space program. This movie synced up perfectly with the anniversary of the moon landing and the passing of Neil Armstrong, August 25th, 2012. Another story we'll look at real quick. There was a man plotting to blow up the Washington Mall, according to the FBI. He was charged this past Wednesday in court. He wanted to attack Election Day. And then we're just going to look at the big name in baseball right now and what's so significant about the NLCS opening up on this day in light of Christian Yelich's birthday. And a lot of people are saying, hey, could you look at this royal wedding? I sure can. We'll get there. But let's start here with the markets. I think this is what's front and center right now. So, Black Monday. Here, before I move on, I just want to make sure you guys can see my desktop. Hey, it looks like you can. Okay, we're good to go there. All right, Black Monday. Let me hide this. Again, we talked about this yesterday just for a little bit of review. Black Monday was October 19th, 1987. Terrible day for Wall Street. It was a date with numerology of 135. And in our base ciphers, decoding the English language into numbers, Wall Street has gematria of 135 and 2 of the 4 base ciphers. If you're new here, the dark green method, just the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, up to Z is 26. This one's just flipping the alphabetic order around, making Z1, counting back to A is 26. So it was a date with 135 numerology. That was 31 years ago. 31's the 11th prime number. Consider the word black has this gematria of 11. That's what the alphabetic order and rules of numerology. B's the second letter, B's 2. L's the 12th letter. The numerology of 12 is 1 plus 2 is 3. Just make each letter a single-digit number you add. This year, Monday will be October 15th, 2018. What's interesting about that is it's a date with numerology of 63 and 36. Wall Street in our 2 reduction-based ciphers, the alphabetic order forwards and backwards with the rules of numerology. Wall Street is 36 and 63. And 63 was the number with the 1929 crash we'll get to. There's also a thing with Monday and money. Notice Monday and money, perfect overlap in 2 of the 4 base ciphers. Monday also has that gematria of 27, and money also has that gematria of 63, connecting to Wall Street. So we're watching this Monday. I think Monday is going to be a rough day. This follows the prophecy of the Economist cover from 1988. The Phoenix with the gold coin with 10-10-2018 on the coin, on the Phoenix's chest. If you missed my work on that, we covered that last week, but we'll review a little bit here. Let's go on to the Wall Street crash in 1929 now. That happened October 29th, 1929. A lot of 29 there, isn't it? And not by accident. October 29th is the day leaving 63 days left in the year. Again, Wall Street, 63. Wall Street was the target on this date. 10/29/29 was a date with 68 numerology. Market has that gematria 68. Market crash. October 29th, 1929, it was also a date with 33 numerology. Notice these market disasters like to happen in October. October is the only month with gematria 33. October 33, Dow Jones 33, Masonry 33, Secrecy 33, Order 33. In case you're new here, Dow Jones and October have a lot in common beyond just 33. Dow Jones, October. Notice they overlap in 3 of the 4 base ciphers. Not by accident. So, what is it about Black Tuesday and the 29th? Notice Black Tuesday has this gematria of 74. Notice in our 2 most essential base ciphers, Masonic and Jewish, are both 74 and 29. And keep in mind this code of letters and numbers is a Masonic practice, and before that a Jewish practice. Of course, Masonry is largely based in Judaism and the 39 books of the Old Testament. With regards to the collapse being on the 29th and being known as Black Tuesday, notice collapse is 29, so is black. With regards to the 74, don't forget that New York City and Wall Street on the 74th meridian west. Look at the names of the buildings here at the site of the stock market. The Federal Hall National Memorial, the Bankers Trust Company building, the Trump building. Don't forget Trump is 88, like Jewish, like banks. That 88 prophecy from The Economist. Same year Donald Trump went on Oprah, talked about the presidency. New York Stock Exchange. Look at the gematria of these buildings. New York Stock Exchange, 96 like Freemason. Federal Hall National Memorial, 158 like Freemasonry. Bankers Trust Company building, 333, like how Banks is 47. Remember, the Freemason compass set at 47 degrees is a tribute to the 47th problem of Euclid about how to establish foundation. And in case you're new here, there's this major riddle with 333 and 47 through what the compass, which is set at 47 degrees, represents to Freemasonry. It means circumscribe our desires and keep our passions within due bounds, which has the gematria of 333. It's why the Zionist nation of Israel was recognized as a nation by the United Nations in the year 47 on the 333rd day of the year. You know, in DC, everything's 47. L'Enfant Plan, 333. That was the plan that laid out DC. So, with regards to the Great Collapse of October 29th, 1929, that was 89 years ago. And what is it about 89? Remember, the word chaos has gematria of 89. The Masonic agenda is dominated by one strategy, order out of chaos. And that's what the Phoenix represents, as we'll get to, what's on the cover of the 1988 Economist cover predicting the one world currency with the date October 10th, 2018. Date that turned out to be the 3rd worst day in market history. But the thing about it being 89 years and chaos equaling 89 is that 89 is the 11th Fibonacci number, and black also has that gematria of 11. In light of black being the theme, Black Monday, Black Tuesday. This year, the 89-year anniversary of the market crash, October 29th, 2018. Keep in mind 10 plus 29 is 39. Like how October's 39, like how Dow Jones is 39. But it's going to be a date with 77 numerology. Special number here. What I forgot to put up here is United States equals 77 in the same cipher that Secret Society does. But so is power, so is Judaism, so is Zionist, so is theater. Don't ever forget Flight 77 on September 11th that hit the 77-foot tall Pentagon on the 77th meridian, 77 minutes after taking off, plus September 11th is words equals 77. Remember, there's a big market crash on 9/11 too. That was a Tuesday as well. Wasn't in October though. with regards to the name of Wall Street crash, we're gonna talk more about how this little riddle here factors into the headline today about how Sears has until Monday before they have to declare bankruptcy. If you haven't seen that headline, that's floating around. We're going to talk about that. But Wall Street crash, 221, like the Bavarian Illuminati 221. The Bavarian Illuminati established May 1st, 1776, just before the American Revolution. Wall Street crash also has the gematria of 58, Freemasonry 139 and 58, the Bavarian Illuminati, which is a Masonic alliance, the Bavarian Illuminati 139. Don't forget, Bavarian Illuminati alone is also 188, like how the US dollar bill denominations, the 1, the 2, the 5, the 10, the 20, the 50, the 100, and to 188. The bill's full of the Masonic symbolism, the Illuminati symbolism. Don't forget that Freemason and economics and all four base ciphers are a perfect overlap. Notice how financial also works in. In the most crucial of the four base ciphers, financial's perfect. Two of the three ciphers, it's a reshuffling of the same numbers. Don't forget, New World Order is 174 and 69 too. Don't forget, the New York Times, October 6, 1940, ran the headline, New World Order pledged to Jews. Financial also has the gematria of 57, like Scottish Rite. We're going to talk about that a lot when we get to the movie coming out today, First Man, with Ryan Gosling. So, with the Illuminati in mind, check this out. Sears has 3 days to come up with $134 million. And if you read the article, the deadline's this Monday, the day that we're looking at for a bad day in market performance. Sears is this long-established American company, an icon of a company. You know, used to be a real powerhouse. But what's interesting about the 134 million figure, we've been talking about this a lot. Pretty much everything in Donald Trump's administration is coded at 134, including Make America Great Again. Again, Donald Trump running for office during the time of the show about the presidency called House of Cards, which means an economy on the verge of collapse, a business on the verge of collapse. House of Cards has that gematria of 134. If you read the article, it points out that, here, I'll just read it. The company also has $269 million available to it from lenders, according to figures it released on September 13th. And then up here it says the most recent filing from Sears showed it had only $193 million in cash on hand as of August 4th. August 4th, the 216th day of the year. United States of America, 84. Masonry, 84. But September 13th, also 13/9, like Freemasonry. Look at this. Again, the Bavarian Illuminati, 139. Bankruptcy, 139, which they're facing. America, 139. Freemasonry, 139. Been saying since day one, the day Donald Trump announces the 45th president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the wall, Berlin Wall. I said this is all some sick joke about the planned collapse of the economy, Mr. Bankruptcy, president-elect, fall of the wall, House of Cards, Trump card. It's all been foreshadowed. This story, you know, part of the riddle, the latest mocking. October 12th is the day that leaves 80 days left in the year as well. Today, this news comes today. Hold on, let me, oh, you know what's nice? I can stop it from right here. Okay, so today this news comes the day leaving 80 days left in the year. The word Bavarian Illuminati has the gematria of 80. And just in case, I'm just going to bring this up just in case you missed my work on Kofi Annan's death at age 80 on August 18th. Important stuff right here. Kofi Annan, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. His full name was Kofi Ada Annan. Notice it equals 80. Won the Nobel Peace Prize 80. He got the Nobel Peace Prize on October 12th. That's today in history. 17 years ago today, the day leaving 80 days left in the year. And again, he died at age 80 on August 18th, 18/8. You know, Bavarian Illuminati. So, just wanted to, again, establish how significant these numbers are, how they come up. All of this stuff has to do with dollars and cents. Again, the US dollar bill denominations, the 1, the 2, the 5, the 10, the 20, the 50, the 100, you add it up, it's 188. We all know there's Illuminati symbolism all over our dollar bills. And with regards to this, being a connection, a greater connection to the United States of America, Sears, this long established household name, look how long ago they were founded, 132 years ago. United States of America has that gematria of 132. 132 rooms in the White House, and not arbitrarily. So again, here it is from 1988. Get ready for a world currency, 10/10/2018 with the Phoenix. And this magazine cover came out on January 9th, 9/1 like 91, Phoenix 91. 91's the 13th triangular number. 10/10/2018 was a date with 13 numerology. The pyramid on the dollar bill with the all-seeing eye at the top, 13 layers of bricks. The Bavarian Illuminati established with 13 families, May 1st, 1776. Date with 99 numerology, like how when you write out 13, it sums to 99. So does the United States of America. That thing about the market. Fallen in October by the numbers. If you missed all the work I talked about, the death of the Goldman Sachs assistant, supposedly committed suicide from the 33rd floor. If you missed all that, go back and watch the videos I put out in days past. I don't want to make this video too long with too many redundancies. But there's a lot of little riddles we've been looking at here, including how 10/10/2018 was the day that Elizabeth Trump, Trump's grandmother, would have turned 138 years old. Woman who died on 6/6/66. Again, Donald Trump equals 138. Born and bred to be. Michael made landfall that day by the numbers federal 138. Think of the Federal Reserve. That was on Trump's 119th day of his age. The man talking to sheep. Don't forget, all-seeing eye equals 119. Again, with regards to it being Trump's 119th day of his age, this collapse we just saw on the prophesized date from The Economist, Trump was announced as the 45th president-elect on November 9th, again, the anniversary of the fall of the wall. And the thing about the Berlin Wall is construction began on that wall August 13th, 13/8 for one more 138. And again, the New World Order has been working at this agenda for centuries. Manly P. Hall says the agenda is carried out by the Order of the Quest, the Masonic alliance of powerful people in the world, whose symbol is the Phoenix. And they've been working at this for centuries, before the United States of America was even established. So this is how they can build a wall on the perfect date, having their man lined up years in advance to be the president, announced on a specific date, the fall of the wall, and then carry out all these rituals accordingly, a magazine cover foreshadowing the correct date. The point of looking at all of this is to go, okay, this is what's being done. I'm living in a world where we're experiencing a planned agenda. So many of you say this is proof that we live in the Matrix, or this is proof of simulation theory. To me, what it proves is, there is a matrix that's been built around us by people who have a very well thought out plan and who work by a very stubborn and persistent and repetitive code. And, this is how they've done it. Remember, the market fell 831.83 points. 831, the reflection of 138. JFK was assassinated 831 days after this day right here, August 13th, 1961. One of the last things JFK did while alive was speak at the site of the Berlin Wall. You might recall that right after Trump was announced as the president, Barack Obama was over in Germany speaking about Trump with Germany's leader. You might also recall about the headlines comparing Melania Trump and Jackie Kennedy on Inauguration Day. Melania was the first lady to wear baby blue since Jackie Kennedy. All of these things are little riddles. JFK was going after, the money. He wanted a debt-free currency. And that economists cover in 88. Trump 88, Elizabeth 88, Jewish 88. What word I forgot to put up here is banks, plural, another 88. Banks also 11, like black. You know, you got to think that getting in the black in financial terms is actually a positive for a company. And every time that there's one of these financial collapses, they only benefit the elite who have it all planned, you know? Because when it ruins everybody else, the common man, then they come in and swoop up. It's just like the financial collapse at the end of the Bush administration. The common man lost all over the place, lost their home, lost all their savings, lost their pension. But then the super rich came in and bought up everything, you know? So all of these planned disasters, they're beneficial to, you know, certain groups of people. Don't forget 10/10/2018 was also a date with 58 numerology. We talked about that. Humpty Dumpty 58. Quicken Loans began running the commercial about Humpty Dumpty falling from the wall after Trump had his convention at Quicken Loans Arena. Donald Trump, the winner of the 58th U.S. presidential election. So that's what I want to point out about the market. I think as we move through October, it's going to continue to descend. I don't know how far down it'll go. But like I said months ago, we won't see it get above 26,000. And I predicted when it gets high into the 26,000s, that's probably going to be the sign that it's about to come all crumbling down. And that's exactly what happened. And I said it wouldn't make it over 26K. It's a symbolic number. Dollar equals 26, bank 26, in God we trust. The word God 26. Special number. So yesterday we covered this Kanye West, and the piece I missed was Jim Brown was sitting by his side. Here was a headline from CNN. Instead of inviting policy experts to discuss issues, Trump just invited two famous black men who like him. Well, what jumps out, again, yesterday had the 59 date numerology, like how slave, Negro, and blues equal 59. What jumps out is from Kanye's birthday to the meeting was 18 weeks. The word race equals 18. This meeting had everything to do with race. And just look at all of the programming that comes out of this. I mean, if you watched CNN or MSNBC, the way they carried this was, you know, black people have no business supporting Donald Trump. So that's racial. I mean, the whole thing is just racial, right? And it's meant to be. Everything about Trump's meant to be divisive, but the media is what carries it. And the media, and who controls the media and government, they're the ones that put Donald Trump, their pawn on the chessboard in the position he is, to carry out these narratives. But the other thing is Jim Brown from his birthday. In case you guys don't follow my sports work, I said why the Browns were going to break their losing streak on Jim Brown's 216th day of his age, which they did. That was when they beat the Jets on Thursday Night Football. Cleveland's the 216 area code. But anyway, from his birthday to his meeting with Trump was his 237th day. It's well known that that number is associated with 42 because they're prime numbers, and it's the prime factorization of 42. 2 times 3 times 7 is 42. And again, 42, that number stamped all over black history. Named Kanye West even has that gematria of 42. The Browns haven't won since Jim Brown. Think about it. This rigged and scripted world. But whole thing was about race. They got these guys there on numbers that are related to race that we see again and again in the racial coding. At the beginning of 2018, you'll recall that the way the year began was with that story about H&M, the magazine, having the little black boy with the T-shirt that said something like the coolest monkey in the jungle. Got all that hubbub about it. I said right then, just watch this year, 2018. It's just going to be full of racial division and racial programming, and been pretty ripe with it. Stand your ground shootings, police officer shootings. It's not like they haven't done it to us in the past, but this has been a year full of it, and we're not done yet. So, updating the turkey story. Before we go ahead, I just want to make sure that you saw yesterday what I showed about this story. Yesterday, they pointed out that a 59-year-old man, a journalist, had been supposedly murdered by Saudi Arabia in Turkey. And yesterday, the date this news broke was a date with 59 numerology. 59 is a word connected to killing. Freemasonry sums to 59 in Hebrew and English, and the man killed was Jamal Khashoggi, having Gematria 59. Yesterday also had 41 numerology, Saudi Arabia 41, Khashoggi 41. And the man who broke the news, Bob Corker, you know, it was news by the numbers. It came on his 49th day of his age. Look up here. Khashoggi 49, Washington 49, same ciphers. Most important of the base 4. And of course, this guy, Bob Corker, named accordingly for Washington, D.C. You can see the screen. You see what I'm pointing out. I talked about this yesterday. His name 137, the big number in D.C. 137, the 33rd prime. Here we are in October. Freemasonry across the world. Turkey, big ally of the U.S. So here's today's update. Today's update is now they have a video of him going into this consulate that he never comes out of, the Saudi Arabia consulate. And they say they have an audio recording of the struggle. And it's like, well, where'd that come from? Anyway, notice the emphasized headline down here, shocking audio and visual evidence. Again, they don't emphasize things for nothing. Shocking sums to 86 and 40-1, just like Saudi Arabia, who's the focus of this story. Supposedly they murdered him. Khashoggi also has the gematria of 41, like how the story broke yesterday, the date with the life lesson number of 41. And there's another story in the news from Turkey. U.S. pastor Andrew Brunson freed by Turkish court. Brunson also 41. So Brunson also 86. You know, these stories, both coming out of Turkey, both centered around the same numbers. And it's this way every single day when you learn the code. Istanbul appropriately is on the 41st parallel north. So the coordinates are even right for the story. What they're saying out of this story is it time for us to break our relations with Saudi Arabia? And you have to go, So this is the story we break our relations with Saudi Arabia over, not 9/11, where almost all the hijackers from Saudi Arabia, you know? It's just like nothing makes sense in the news if you actually look at the stuff they feed you. And we're not going to be breaking our alliance with Saudi Arabia. They call it the 51st state, and not by accident. This man, Andrew Craig Brunson, he runs the Izmir Resurrection Church. And gematria pops out here in a big way, that 139 number, talking about that with Freemasonry and the Bavarian Illuminati. And in light of today's date, this news coming on the day, leaving 80 days left in the year. Again, Masonry controls the entire world of religion. The Bavarian Illuminati is Masonry. The name Andrew Brunson also sums to 75, like Izmir. Notice that his church, Izmir, gematria of 60 as well, and 33. Today's date has a life lesson number of 33 and numerology of 60. It's like, who is this guy really? Andrew Craig Brunson. Has he really even been in prison in Turkey? You know, just all the news, though. It's just all, every single day, presented in this numerological fashion. Every single day, every single story. So the other piece is, why are we hearing about two stories from Turkey on this day? Why is Turkey front and center? Well, let's go to Turkey's leader. From his birthday to today is 228 days later. He frees this American pastor. Turkey turns over the evidence that supposedly Saudi Arabia murdered this man. 228 days later, United States of America, 228. Don't forget that in Sumerian gematria, that's the times 6 cipher. The word death, which equals 38 in ordinal, times 6 is 228. And the one story has everything to do with death. Yesterday, the day the news broke, was his 228th day of his age. Today's 228 days after his birthday. Or that also means today's his 229th day of his age, which is the 50th prime. And with the alphabetic order, America's 50. Like the 50 states and a million territories. So there's that piece. Turkey news by the numbers. And this has been a story that CNN's been keeping up at the top all day. The forecast with Harry Enten. It's about how they are so accurate at predicting the elections. Like how when I was a 17-year-old in 2000, how they told us the election would come down to Florida for the 43rd presidency. I wish I knew gematria back then, because Florida equals 43, just like Yale, where Bush went, just like his father went, and just like how his brother, Jeb Bush, who was the governor of Florida, was the 43rd governor of Florida. But that word forecast, gematria, overlap with voting, and are two most essential of the four base ciphers, the one I've been teaching since 2013. Again, this news comes October 12th, 2018, a date with a life lesson number of 33. October is also 33. If you write out the forecast in our base ciphers, the forecast sums to 60, like how today has 60 date numerology, you know, every single day. Couldn't overlook that the name Enten has the gematria 58, like Freemasonry, like secret society. Man born in 88. Couldn't find his birthday though, just born in 88. That's all I could find. So, now here's a big one. Hope you're still with me. Hope I haven't bored you to death with all the numbers, because this is really interesting right here. The first man controversy. You see how they emphasize the word controversy in Neil Armstrong movie proves to be inflated. If you want to know what the controversy is, it's that the film doesn't show them planting the flag in the moon. That's what the controversy is. Why didn't they show them planting the flag in the moon? But check this out. Here's what jumps out to me. In our most essential of the four base ciphers, controversy 57, man on the moon 57, Scottish Rite 57. Neil Armstrong was a Scottish Rite Freemason. He has a shrine built in his honor at the Scottish Rite of Freemason headquarters in Washington, D.C. With the alphabetic order, moon is also 57. And remember, it's not arbitrary that moon equals 57. The way they measure the orbit of the moon as it goes around the Earth is the moon's center never passes the coordinates of 28.5 degrees north on the Earth or 28.5 degrees south, a distance of 57 degrees. The name George with the alphabetic order is also 57, as in George Washington, the Scottish Rite Freemason who was inaugurated at age 57. Also with the alphabetic order, Jews equals 57, and the Jews identify through the moon. They say the moon symbolizes them in the night sky. It disappears only to return full again. When you flip the alphabetic order around and use the rules of numerology, Ryan Gosling equals 57, and he's the main actor in this film. Think they picked him by accident? Now look, I just want to look at all four of the base ciphers with all of these terms on the screen. Notice Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong, 165 and 78. He was a Scottish Rite Freemason. Scottish Rite, 165 and 78 in the same ciphers. Look at man on the moon. 147 and 57. Look at outer space, 147 and 57. As we talked about, moon's 57, right? Look at conspiracy, 147 and 57. Man on the moon also sums to 51. Moon is also 51. Conspiracy is also 51. You see how outer space is 42? It has one S in it. In this cipher, if a word has one S, you can add +9 more, because S is the 19th letter. It's the only letter that has to be reduced 2 times. 19 is 1 plus 9 is 10. 10 is 1 plus 0 is 1. In this cipher, S is worth 1, but it can be worth 10. If you make it worth 10, it's +9 more. Outer space also sums to 51. And I want you to think about all the people who say they filmed the moon landing at Area 51. Man on the moon, moon, outer space, conspiracy. It all fits. The word federal with the alphabetic order in the dark green cipher is also 51. And the federal government funded the mission. Of course, the Scottish Rite's also headquartered in the same city that the federal government is. So, the overlap, isn't it amazing? What else is up here? I could have put more up here. Let's look at a gematria spaceship. Spaceship. If you have not read my book, there's a chapter on NASA by the numbers. Spaceship, also 42, 147, 48. In fact, it's the exact same as Freemason in every cipher. Freemason and spaceship, perfect overlap in all four. Freemasonry has always controlled NASA from the beginning. So, this is why we say these are the four base ciphers. You know, it didn't get that way by accident. For years, I just knew about these two, the ones on the left, the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. When I discovered this reverse gematria, I just saw how many pieces had logical and meaningful connections and how many words that go together have perfect overlap in all four base ciphers. There's a guy out there that teaches one gematria cipher, which is a true cipher, but he says it's the only cipher. And he says that by teaching about these ciphers, it's an embarrassment to the subject because this is all a bunch of nonsense. But it's like, really? I mean, this has all sorts of logical reasoning and, you know, all sorts of relevance in history. From the way the moon orbits the earth to the history of the Scottish Rite and George Washington and several of the first Freemason presidents who were inaugurated at age 57. So this movie, it also comes out today, October 12th, 2018, date with a life lesson number of 33. Orange 33, October 33, Masonry 33, Secrecy 33, Federal 33, Order 33. The word lunar has that gematria of 33 when you flip the alphabetic order around. Think about how astronauts wear orange. It's a drawing of Neil Armstrong right there. Black rocket with plenty of orange on it. From the day Neil Armstrong died, the anniversary of his death, he died on August 25th. Come down here. Neil Armstrong born August 5th, dead August 25th. From his anniversary of his passing to today is 48 days later. Freemason sums to 48 in English and Hebrew. And as we just saw, spaceship is also 48 in that same cipher. Little spaceship there behind him. It's also a span of 49 days today. Span of 49 days. Scottish 49, as in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. America in that cipher is 49, a nation founded by Scottish Rite Freemasons. The moon landing, the lunar module touched down on the moon July 20th. The day that Neil Armstrong first set foot on the moon was July 21st. And both dates are interesting. From July 21st to today is a span of 84 days. Masonry has the gematria of 84 like United States of America. That means that if you go from July 20th to today, it's a span of 85 days, which is a lot like his birthday, August 5th. We write that 8/5 in the United States. Here, that is right here. It's also 2 months and 23 days, like 223, the 48th prime, like how Masonics 223 in Jewish gematria. With regards to his birthday being August 5th, that date can also be written 5/8, like 58, big number of Freemasonry. Freemasonry 58, Secret Society 58. When you make S worth 10 in this cipher, Washington's 58, United States is 58. NASA established in 58 on a date with 113 numerology, Scottish 113, the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, always has controlled NASA. Now we got to get to the point about First Man. Why is this movie called First Man? First Man soars, his tale of Neil Armstrong and stoic heroism. Notice that word tale. When I use the word tale, it usually means I'm telling something that's fictional. Couldn't help but notice this right here. First Man, 1:39. Freemasonry, 139. America, 139. That's also 99 seconds. And if you write out 13, it equals 99. The moon does 13 orbits of the earth. The United States of America has gematria of 99. The nation that began with 13 colonies, 13 stripes, makes us go to 13 years of public school programming. Don't forget the Bavarian Illuminati established just before America. This movie coming out on the day, again leaving 80 days left in the year. Bavarian Illuminati, 80. What else is interesting about Bavarian Illuminati is it has gematria of 127, like Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. And think about the day that Neil Armstrong touched down on the moon, July 21st, the day he put his foot on the moon for the first time. The date in reverse, 721. Here's the establishment date of the Illuminati, May 1st, 1776. Adam Weishaupt. Gematria 51 to go with the May 1st date. Conspiracy in that same cipher, 51. 5/1/1776, date with 99 numerology. 1399, the United States of America. We still got to get to why it's called First Man, though. Notice Ryan Gosling's 37 years old right now. He's 37. From today to his birthday is a span of 32 days. In that cipher that one guy teaches that says is the only cipher, which is a relevant cipher. This is his cipher he teaches right here. First Man's 32, Freemasons 32, Space Race is 32. That's what it was all about, right? Beating the Russian cosmonauts. Being the first. With the most essential of the base ciphers, America's 32 as well. Again, a nation founded by Freemasons. 7/4/1776, date with 32 numerology. Good day to establish America. Now, the thing about First Man is it has gematria 37 in our most essential cipher, just like American, like how Ryan Gosling's 37. This is what it was all about. The Americans being first. And consider that 37 is the 12th prime number, like how today's the 12th day of the month, like how years ago I said why American Pharaoh would win the Triple Crown before the races even began. It had been 37 years since there was a Triple Crown winner, and American Pharaoh would become the 12th Triple Crown winner as he did. The other thing about 37 is its reflection is 73, and NASA and Mason both have the gematria of 73. In light of this being synced up with Ryan Gosling's 38th birthday, his upcoming, keep in mind that in Hebrew, Mu equals 38. And I just thought about something else in light of this movie coming out on the day leaving 80 days left in the year. Notice First Man has the gematria of 100 with the alphabetic order. 80 has this gematria of 74, right? And 38, like how Moon's 38 in Hebrew. But if you write out 100, it sums to 74. So, that's sort of circular thinking. First Man's 100. You write out 100, it sums to 74. But it is an observation in light of it coming out on the day leaving 80 days left in the year. Again, 74 is that big Masonic number. Masonic 74, Jewish 74, Gematria 74, English 74. So, just a little off the cuff thought there. There's a big Masonic agenda. Now here's another good one. Paul Rosenfeld charged October 10th, 2018 with plot to bomb National Mall on Election Day. So this news came yesterday, October 11th, but if you read the story, he was charged Wednesday, October 10th. A lot of things jump out about this story. Election Day has the gematria 58, like how 10/10/2018 has 58 numerology, and also like how the name Paul Rosenfeld has gematria 58. Again, like Washington, like United States, like Freemasonry, like secret society. There's a number of other things that stand out here, but, to me, it's already enough. Election Day has the gematria of 113, like Scottish. He was going to bomb Washington, D.C., the headquarters of the Scottish Rite. Notice Election Day is also 50. So is America. So is Washington. America 50. Washington 50. Use that S exception. Washington 58. Paul Rosenfeld, busted by the feds. This story came on a date with 39 numerology. He was from New York, New York 39, Federal 39, Masonry 39. It was a 200-pound bomb. If you write out 200, it has gematria overlapping with Federal. Just all the typical expected numbers. I love that I can now hang up my phone from my computer. That's nice. Anyway. This news, it also, the day he was charged, October 10th, was also a span of 28 days from November 6, 2018, which is a date with a life lesson number of 28. And again, he was intending to kill. Kill has the gematria of 28. So does Mason, same cipher. So the feds expose one of their own conspiracy plots and, pat themselves on the back. More news by the numbers. For one last point, they said he was 56 years old. Washington, D.C. is 56. In that same cipher, all-seeing eye, 56. Propaganda meant to impact the mind's eye as always. Now, something a little more fun. The NLCS starts today. Christian Yelich is that very special 26 years old. Major League Baseball equals 351. The 26th triangular number. Game equals 26. Ball game 26. His 27th birthday is upcoming. And from today, opening day of the game, to his birthday is 54 days later. Huge number. Baseball, 54 in 2 of the 4 base ciphers. 54 outs in a complete game. When you flip the alphabetic order, baseball is also 162, like how there's a 162 game season. I mean, who could ever deny this is coincidence? Who could ever say there's just one cipher? Major League Baseball with the alphabetic order is also 162. And then there's that 351, the 26th triangular number. So he's that magic number, athlete 26, sports 26. Anyway, 54 days to his 27th birthday. MLB has that gematria 27. Baseball, when you take into account the S exception, baseball is also 27. Notice MLB's 54 as well. Christian Yelich going against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Both sum to 89. 89 is the 24th prime. Game 1 of the NLCS 24. I'll be surprised if this guy doesn't have a lights-out performance, knowing the way they script the sports games by the same code. No. I've heard 2 book sales since I got on here. Thank you for picking up the book, people out there purchasing. It means a lot. And some other people say, can I look at this Princess Royal Wedding? Princess Eugenie. What a name. Reminds me of eugenics. But the big deal is that her dress showed off her scars. And what's so interesting about that is look at the gematria of Eugenie wedding in October. Both values of 39 and 33 in the base ciphers. Today's date has the life lesson number of 33 like Mary. And scars has that gematria of 39. And I was just reading up here, her shoes hidden from view were designed by Charlotte Olympia. I know that Charlotte has that gematria of 39. It was that number that once allowed me to predict the royal baby's name is Charlotte. I'm sure there's even more. I didn't want to look at this too hard, but again, these royals, it's masonry across the world. Remember, this knowledge of letters and numbers comes from Kabbalah, which was supposed to be knowledge just for elites. Royals considered elites. So it's no surprise that they do things by this code. And just consider, I don't think anyone in the world would have a clue that any of this was going on if I hadn't figured out what was up so long ago, back in 2013. But those cover the news stories I wanted to talk about. If there's other stories you want me to cover, I'm going to take a peek at the comments right now to see if there's anything that's buzzing that people are wondering about. Get back to my live stream here. Let's see. Don't forget to like the video. I see 300 people watching and 95 likes. Thanks to those of you who already did, but I know there's a lot more out there who can hit the like button, which means if you do, it'll help get this video into more people's feeds. This channel's under mass censorship right now. That's why my views are down 500% over the last month, despite the channel growing. The rate of growth for the channel is way down as well. Trisha G says, why do people keep saying women are trannies? I'm with Trisha G. I don't like accusing anyone of being a tranny because I don't have any evidence. You know, that's something I try to teach you guys about, to only speak when you have evidence. And just because a woman looks masculine doesn't mean that she's a dude. As someone who's officiated athletics and been an athlete myself, I mean, I've seen a lot of women that have really manly builds, but they're definitely women. And I just feel like if they went on TV, people, you know, those of you calling everybody a tranny, you'd be saying, oh, that person's definitely a tranny. Look at those shoulders. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it is interesting that her shoulders are that big, but some women are built that way. And it's not to say that some of these women couldn't be trannies, but it's just like, just speak on what you have evidence of. Part of what motivated me so much to do this research was I saw this truth community for years, which I wasn't a participant in of. I was just a spectator. And I thought, a lot of these things out there that people accuse and say are happening, they say it with no evidence. So why should I believe what they're saying? And I don't like to believe, I like to have facts to work with. And for a lot of years, I was looking for something that was just truly undeniable. Like I said, I was 18 years old when September 11th happened. I knew that there was something about numbers, with there being this great national emergency on 911. And for years, I just kept looking at the repetitive use of the same numbers in media, especially 47. And, you know, it took me more than 10 years to figure out this code of letters and numbers. But then once I found it, I said, this got to be it. This has got to be it. So I was super motivated to plug away and do all the research that I did. And I worked real hard for a full year on my blog, decoding and trying to figure out what the numbers meant and how they were used, because I saw there was some language to it. And after a year of decoding, that's when I started making my first videos. So I didn't just come out, you know, overnight, like, oh, look at this, letters and numbers. I worked at it for a year. And even then, I was still pretty raw. I mean, anyone who's watched my videos since 2014 knows how far this work's come. But the thing is, there's always been evidence for what I'm saying. And if you never saw my first video, it was a prediction. My very first video was a prediction. I said, you just watch. When they release the name of this officer who shot Michael Brown, his name's going to sum to 33. And sure enough, his name was Darren Wilson. Darren, 33, just like police. Shortly after, we figured out why he was wearing a 42 on the T-shirt in the image they put out with the word blues on it. That's how we figured out the 4259 thing shortly after. And we've just been piecing it together ever since. And the entire time I've been making these videos, I've been, you know, seeing the comments, that person's a tranny, that person's a tranny, this person's a tranny. And I just think, okay, all of you guys say that this person's a tranny and you have no evidence. And you do things like you link the video on Michelle Obama dancing in the white pants. I mean, Michelle Obama does have broader shoulders than Barack. It is interesting. Is she a tranny? I don't know. I'm not going to come out and say that she's a tranny because there's no evidence, including that white pants video. I can't see anything in her pants jingling around like so many of you assert. And I will probably watch that video 10 times, and it's probably been sent to me 1,000. But I don't know. It's just, and a lot of you guys who accuse people, I mean, the two biggest people accused of being trannies by the truth community are Serena Williams and Michelle Obama, who are both black women too. Well, and people probably get mad because I referred to them as women. But the point is, they're both black. It almost feels like it's racial. And it almost feels like it feeds into the racial tension and division too. So, I don't know. Until somebody produces evidence that any of these people are trannies, you'll never hear me accusing anyone of being a tranny. I do show how they drop the transgender news by the numbers, including Bruce Gender. You know, I've done a lot of work on that. I'm pretty sure in my book I talk about that. But yeah, I think Trisha G brings up a good question. Why do people keep saying women are trannies? Have I talked about climate change? Yes. I've been talking about a lot. We're definitely living in a weird age, and the weather is something that's being manipulated and experimented with, no doubt about it. And we as people, we haven't done a good job of taking care of the planet. You know, we litter, we overconsume, we create a lot of garbage. We're not resourceful. You know what I noticed about people in our society is like things that should be considered genuinely good, they're all kind of demonized. Because I know this from being this type of person. Like I'm someone who cares about, the way I eat and my diet. I want to eat a diet that's resourceful. That's a large part of the reason I became vegetarian when I was younger. I learned that that diet was a lot more environmentally friendly. It uses a lot less resources. Plus, it has all sorts of health benefits. People don't respect that. When I was young, what everyone would say is, Zach, your diet's for a girl, or your diet's so gay, or that's such a pansy diet. And it's like, well, I'm not trying to be gay or a pansy. I'm just trying to do what's smart. Okay, if this is good for the planet, if this is good for myself, why not? It's not that I don't like eating dairy. And, to me, when I was younger, I just like most of you, I grew up on meat. I have a taste for meat, but I realized, like, okay, I can give up some things. I can make some sacrifices if it's for the overall good. People don't respect that. I'm someone who's, like somebody, I'll come home with my roommates and every light on the house will be on and, like the TV's on and nobody's even in the room watching the TV. And I'll be the one to turn off the light switches where nobody is and shut off the TV. And they'll be like, Zach, why are you so worried about the electricity bill? Not like it's that much energy. But the way I think about it is like, okay, the whole world is living this way. Like, how many lights are needlessly running right now? How many TVs are needlessly on? I think about the total picture. And the thing is, like, to create all this energy, it takes stuff. You have to cut down the mountains to get all the coal. You have to build these dams on the river to power all this. And there's consequences to all this stuff: destroying environment, polluting, all the fish that die from the dams. So, I mean, most of these things are out of sight, out of mind, so people don't think about them. And, if you leave on your light all month, it's probably only going to add like a couple dollars to your electricity bill. So it's not such a big deal. But that's not the way I think about it. I just think about, okay, if we all conserve, then it's better for the planet. And here I am, somebody as a young person reading articles about like how all the fish are going to be dead in the sea in 50 years and thinking, isn't anybody else concerned? I mean, I know they like to scare us and overstate things, but there are signs that things are wrong. I was saying recently that, I noticed when I drive around here in the Pacific Northwest, 5 years ago, if I drove around in the summer outside of the city, my windshield would be the bug holocaust no matter where I went. If I had to drive 30 minutes outside of the city, I mean, my car would be covered in bugs. These days, I can drive from Seattle to Portland through the entire rural area outside of the cities and arrive in the next city and maybe not even have a single bug on my windshield. And it never used to be that way. But some other people said, well, maybe that's going on up there, but where I live, there's still bugs everywhere. So I guess that's good to hear. I'm glad that in your neck of the woods, there's still bugs, but I don't know. They really aren't here. Something's definitely changed. And there's a lot less everything. At nighttime where I grew up, you used to always hear crickets and frogs and stuff. And now you don't hear any of that. And there's less birds. There's definitely way less birds. So everything that feeds on the bugs, with them not around, then they don't survive. It's just a big cycle of life. But yeah, there's just definitely all sorts of signs that things are amiss. The crazy weather. So let's see. Going down through the comments. Uh-oh, chat just skipped a ton on me again. I see somebody's question while I'm scanning the comments here. My eye caught the comment, do I think there's any truth to cloning humans? Again, Dolly the sheep was cloned and announced to the world on February 22nd. And that's the 53rd day of the year. And the word sheep equals 53. The word man equals 53. If you can clone a sheep, I don't see why you can't clone any other living mammal. And I would say that as long as the story is true about the sheep, then I'm sure they could do it for a person too. I know there's researchers out there that say they've been cloning human beings all the way going back to World War II. I don't know about all that. But then again, they say the military is 50 plus years ahead of us in terms of the technology we're aware of. Let's see. I lost where I was when it skipped. So Frank says, I've been on point for 2 years since he started following me. Yeah, about most things. I've been wrong on some things, but overwhelmingly, I've been right about things. That's for sure. I wish I could figure out how to make this chat not skip. Got to be some trick to it. Gematria Forum says the transgender stuff's a distraction. I agree. I mean, it's obvious that the transgender thing is real, though, in terms of the impact it's having on society. I mean, there's a lot more people who are willing to experiment. I think I told you guys the story when I was driving Uber and Lyft. I was taking an employee to Facebook. Most of the people who use Uber and Lyft in the city in Seattle, sort of expensive. They work for the tech companies. They get good pay. A lot of big tech jobs in Seattle, Facebook, Google, Amazon, and more. They're all there. If you drive in the city, the majority of people you're driving work for those companies. But one day I was taking a Facebook employee, and anytime I got employees for those companies, I'd ask them what they think about the censorship. Almost none of them cared. But one day I picked up a Facebook employee, and his name was Amelia, but he had a low voice. And anyway, I asked Amelia how they liked working at Facebook, and they said, well, I like it, but most of the people there are a bunch of weirdos. And I was listening to them explain why they thought the people there were weirdos. And I asked Amelia if anyone gave them a hard time about being transgender, and Amelia got so offended. And Amelia didn't want to talk about it, and Amelia gave me 1 star. And that was really rare for me because my rating for Lyft and Uber was very high. It was, I forget what it was, like 4.95 or something for both of them. But Amelia did not like me asking about the transgender thing, and I just thought that was strange too. I was like, well, if you're going to do this transgender thing, and it's obvious you are, Amelia. I mean, just answer the question. You just said you work with a bunch of weirdos, so I want to know if people give you a hard time. But Amelia did not want to talk about it. Oh yeah, and I just remember I was talking about conservation and stuff. I was just saying, like, so like conserving energy and caring about the environment, that should be like a good thing. Well, what's wrong with caring about your environment? But people don't respect it. It's like demonized. It makes you an outcast. And then the other thing is truth. I mean, truth's a good thing. You should care about truth. But what happens when you care about truth? Oh, you get labeled with all these demonizing things. Oh, conspiracy theorist. Oh, you know, and it's like, what is with the people here? You know, reading, like people make fun. Oh, you like to read? It's just like, yeah, isn't reading good for you? I mean, isn't it good to obtain information and think about things? If you want to fit in, you got to just be into entertainment and talk about superficial things and be into fashion and, you know, be about money. And it's like, that's what's respected. These are the things that are respected over here. This is what's cool. And then these things which are actually good for you, that's not cool. You know, culture. One of my favorite speakers is Terence McKenna. And he always explained that culture is your enemy. He's like, you know, look at what culture does to people. It's not good. Ben Arvizo says, check out Dr. Sebi. I think a lot of what Dr. Sebi advocated for was true and right on. But I also think that guy was a fraud because because if you don't know who Dr. Sebi is, he claimed that he could cure all sorts of disease and illness, including HIV and AIDS, I believe. And I saw a speaking arrangement, and somebody in the audience said, how do you do it? How do you cure HIV or AIDS or whichever one they specifically asked him about? And he laughed at him and he's like, well, that's like asking, I forget exactly how he put it, That's like asking an ape how and he said just something that was just so dumb. And I was like, why are you answering him that way? I mean, if you know how to cure HIV and AIDS, answer the question. Don't beat around the bush and give something like you can't give away that information. So Dr. Sebi was also somebody who got murdered by the code. If I remember right, he died 113 days from his birthday. He was also in it for the money. He was like, you got to buy my products, you got to buy this stuff. But I think in terms of what he advocated about diet and nutrition was largely true. How many mansions are needlessly empty? Yeah, I remember a statistic during the housing fallout that there were more abandoned homes in the United States than there were homeless people. And a lot of times these stats they throw out aren't true, but if you go through a city like Detroit, it's believable. Detroit has homes upon tops of homes that are vacant. I see a lot of conversation about the trannies. The one thing that's really interesting to me about the transgender thing is, again, in light of the elite going by Kabbalah, Kabbalah says that God is male and female. God has male and female attributes. Somebody else asking, so you're saying the Bible is fake? Well, I mean, what does the word fake mean? There's a lot of knowledge in the Bible. You know, there's a lot of truth in the stories, but the Bible is definitely manipulated, and it's definitely very numerological. It's not a coincidence that the fourth book is called Numbers. But I also think that I think like most things in this world, the Bible makes people give away their own power and look for something outside of them to lead them. Do you realize that that's the way people are in our society? It's like they don't have faith in themselves. They have faith in other things. You know, like they want their government to pay their bills for them. They want a religious leader to tell them how to behave and what to do and what they should think about this week. Or, you know, they want to elect a president or politician to solve all their problems for them. Everything's about, you know, outside of ourselves. And to me, that's a big problem. I realized when I was young that I had to depend on myself. You know, like if I wanted things done, I needed to do it myself. I needed to have faith in myself. I needed to work hard on myself so I could achieve what I wanted to achieve. And I just wonder what society would look like if we all went by a spirituality that said, you know what? The one rule is the golden rule, not the one where it's those who control the gold control makes the rules, not that golden rule, but the one that says treat others the way you want to be treated, and you know, respect all people, respect all life, and you know, believe in yourself and don't quit on yourself, and when things get hard, don't give up on yourself and don't look for somebody else to come and solve all your problems for you. You know, because I feel like those are the values that religion instills in a lot of people. So, let's see. Daniel says the video about October 10th, 2018 and The Economist gave him chills. Well, don't get the chills. Just see what's being done in this world. These people like to plan things decades in advance. Shows that they're just stringing us along. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of getting strung along. Marty says the Bible is a real playbook. And sadly, it is definitely being used as a real playbook. I was never here says the Fukushima radiation was actually much worse than they said. Well, depends on where you were. Here in Seattle, even our nightly news went crazy when that happened. They said that those of us on the West Coast were going to get the worst of the radiation, and they had us all advised to go out and buy potassium iodide. That's the K9 pill, K9, 11-9 pill. But they told us to all go out and buy that and take that and protect us from the radiation fallout that was coming. And a lot of people were flipping out here when that happened. So the one thing that I think of with nuclear is just how many thousands of times across the world there were experiments done with nuclear and atomic weapons. And it just seems that if the radiation's as bad as it's supposed to be, there should be a lot more fallout. But then again, in that same breath, I mean, there are a lot of new disease and illness in the world that seemingly didn't exist in the past. And of course, people will say, well, that's just because science is figuring these things out and they didn't understand them before. But my counterpoint with that is, well, where did SIDS come from? And all these new allergies to foods and, so. I guess the point is, there's a lot of new chemicals and there's a lot that's been done with mad science in this world. Clearly, we're seeing the results of that. The increase in things such as autism, all that. So, has anyone on like a Facebook or social media page ever suggested that autism's connected to vaccines or chemicals in food? That's a good way to start a riot. God, I've never been trolled so hard on Facebook. It was before I even knew about this gematria thing. God, I had so many people go off on me for suggesting that people should look into all the metals and heavy metals in all the vaccines that are more recent. And perhaps that's what's going on with the children, with the SIDS and all that. Oh my God. So many people saying, oh, it's conspiracy theorists like you that cloud the information. And it's just like, am I clouding the information, or are you just trusting the authority and not thinking about things? Somebody said Kabbalah was a religion. It still is. It's a spiritual belief system. Somebody says, do you believe in heaven? To me, the concept of heaven and hell, it feels kind of like the cookie in the timeout corner for a child. Like, you have to do the right thing because you'll get a cookie, or don't do the wrong thing because you'll end up in timeout. And, I don't pretend to know that if there's a heaven or a hell or if there's reincarnation. I don't know. I mean, honestly, if I had to circle an answer, I would say, well, what might make the most sense to me is reincarnation. But I don't know that that's the case either. So I just say, while you're here, while you have the opportunity, you should make the most of it. Further yourself, do things for other people while you can. That is a fact about us as human beings. See, I mean, that's the thing. We're built in a certain way. Like, the way we're built, we have a moral compass within inside. We all react pretty much the same way to certain things. Something bad happens to us, we're angry, we're sad, we're depressed. Something great happens, we feel really good about ourselves. We're in a good mood, we feel more energetic. So there's like all these natural things inside of us. And one of the things that makes us feel good about ourselves is helping out somebody else. And I think part of the reason people don't help out other people as much is because it's like, trust me, I know from experience, it's like you help out people and you feel good about it, but then something bad comes back your way, or then, you helped out this person, but then they become real reliant on you, and then it's like too reliant, and then you're like draining yourself to help this person. And I think that the reason things are this way is because this world has just been mixed up and messed with so much. It's like the way things are supposed to be, they aren't, because of all of the negativity that overwhelms us. And, from what we just get every day in the media to just the stress of keeping up with work and bills and the grind. And also, I mean, we get that stress put on us at a young age, having to get up early in the morning and go to school. And most of us don't enjoy school because it's so redundant and stressful, and it doesn't add meaning to our lives. And also in the school, largely what's instilled is that we have to compete with our peers. We have to compete to get the best grades so that we can get into the university, or so we don't learn cooperation as a society. And I know at some schools things like this are changing, but overwhelmingly in the public system, which most of us go to, it's like we're just brought up in a way that breeds the conditions that we all suffer from. So the trust network's been broken. Somebody points out they waited 33 years for 9/11, and really they probably even waited longer than that. Like I say, the book, The Two Towers, came out right after World War II, and it released on 11/11, like how the World Trade Centers were massive 11s, and the whole ritual was about 11, the master number. And yeah, it's like it seems that they've really planned things out a half century, a century in advance, possibly even further. And we're, going through it day by day. Someone says space is fake. But again, you got to define terms like, well, what is it then? I mean, what do we see when we look out at the night sky? What do we see moving about the stars? There's the certain bodies that move in the sky. We call them planets. We got the sun and the moon. We orbit the sun. The moon orbits us. What are they moving in? They're moving in the fake. If space is fake, I guess they're moving about in the fake. But, I mean, so speak with clarity. Somebody says, why take the truth out of the Bible? Well, why take the truth out of anything? It's like the people who rule over us, they want us to not understand ourselves and where we came from. And I just think that's what it is. It's just taking away the pieces from the puzzle that give us clarity. Again, they want to control us. They want us divided. They want us fighting amongst ourselves. They want us arguing over things that we don't even truly know about ourselves. Isn't almost every religious debate truly all out of arrogance and ego when you really think about it? It's like all these people who have to believe in their religion, they choose to believe in it, but then they fight that theirs is the best over their belief system. So I think that's why the pieces are missing. The person, Jim, in the chat, everybody, if you see Jim, that's Marty Leeds. That's his channel name when he watches my work. Jim is Marty Leeds, I guarantee you, because the person's writing the exact same things that Marty Leeds text me through the Skype. So if it's not him, it's his buddy, but they're writing the exact same things. Why did you backstab Dave Mustaine? How did I backstab Dave Mustaine? I don't know Dave Mustaine. Do you mean Jeff Young? People don't know Dave Mustaine is from Megadeth. Jeff Young was the guitarist for Megadeth for a while, and Jeff Young and I, we used to do a lot of radio shows together, and Jeff Young decided he did not want to associate it with me anymore because I wouldn't come around to the flat earth and that everyone's a tranny. And those were really important things to him. But I was telling him, I said, I don't want to support these things because they're just divisive, and I can't prove that the earth's flat. I can't prove that anyone's a tranny. So Jeff Young and I had a falling out, unfortunately. And now that I think about it, we kind of reunited after the Las Vegas shooting because he was down there in Vegas. But then he got mad at me because I didn't take his word for it that a lot of people were shot and murdered. And he said that he knew that they were. And I said, well, if they were, I don't understand why they're contriving the crime scene. And so because I didn't trust him then he got even more upset, and we haven't really talked since. But I don't think I backstabbed him. I mean, I've never done anything mean to him. All I've ever done is promote his music and say he's a very talented person. You know, I wish we didn't have to have a falling out over our disagreements, but I don't think it was me who was the main catalyst in that. So. And for the record, you know, I still will listen to Jeff Young's Monday radio show. I used to be on there almost every week, but I think his radio show is actually better without me going on there because he does play really good music. I think his show's very cool. He doesn't really talk about truth stuff anymore, but kind of fun listening to him tell his music stories, and he plays a lot of music you never heard before. So Jeff Young's still all right to me. I was always kind of suspicious of why he wanted to be my buddy so much anyway, him being a big famous rock star. It seemed kind of weird, but somebody says nuclear fear is just a whole bunch more lies. Well, it's definitely overstated fear. That's the way it seems. But I do think that they developed some very sophisticated weapons, and some of that sophisticated weaponry was used on September 11th to turn those buildings into dust. Again, Manhattan Project, World Trade Centers in Manhattan, nuclear energy weapon, all summed to 74 with the alphabetic order, Manhattan on the 74th Meridian West. So, plus everything else that we talked about. What do I think about crypto? I think the cryptocurrencies are largely controlled by the same people, but I'm also really ignorant on crypto. I guess there's a lot of smaller cryptos that people are starting up. Somebody just called my radio show this Wednesday night for the second time to remind me something called BitTube. BitTube, like YouTube, but bit instead of you. And he's saying it's a currency that anyone can earn by watching videos on the BitTube streaming service. So you literally get paid to watch the video. So like if I was doing this, I don't think you can stream on there, but if I uploaded this video to BitTube and you watched it there and you had a BitTube currency account, which I think you have to set up, then the more time you spend watching videos on there, then the more of this BitTube currency you build up. And to me, I don't understand the economics of this and where the support is for this and why it's just willing to let you generate money for watching videos. It just makes me go, I don't get it. So I'm not the right person to ask about cryptocurrencies, but what I have documented is a lot of the dollar collapses have also coincided with the crypto crash, and it shows you how the main cryptocurrencies are attached to the same hip. So somebody says that there wasn't any evidence of a real shooting in Vegas. Again, I didn't see any real evidence, but all I could see was what was presented through the media. So Jeff Young was there, and he says he knows it happened, and he got really angry that I didn't believe him. And I didn't say it's not that I don't believe you. It's just I said, well, I don't have any evidence. And I said, I can't go out there on my reputation and say that, okay, I know that this happened because Jeff Young's telling me so. he didn't appreciate that I couldn't use him as a resource like that. But the UFC fight between Russia and Ireland, so Khabib and McGregor. Yeah, well, my prediction that was one fight away from being true that went back 3 years, Conor McGregor becoming 22-3, fell one fight short. He became 21-4. And Khabib remained undefeated, and Gematria undefeated's 50, just like McGregor, just like how Mayweather once went 50-0 against McGregor in the boxing ring. That UFC 229, 229 is the 50th prime number, and tickets went on sale 50 days before the fight on the 229th day of the year, so it was all very numerological. And I didn't think about the narrative between Russia and Ireland. Is there something going on in the news with Russia and Ireland that mirrors the fights? That's something I'd have to look into. Jack Black has been alluding to bombs for the past 3 weeks. I don't know where Jack Black's speaking out at. It's so hard to answer your guys' questions in order because the chat just skips down all the time. Let's see. Somebody says I should check out Dolo. I don't know who that is. Dolo. Do you guys know this about Japan and atomic bomb? Japan has the gematria of 93, atomic bomb 93. They stopped doing the testing of nuclear and atomic bombs underground just right before the 93 World Trade Center bombing. And they blamed it on the blind cheek. 93. And don't forget this headline here. Last pilot, Enola Gay, dead at 93. You know, Theodore Van Kirk, last Enola Gay crew member, dead at 93. That's who dropped the bombs on Japan. Japan 93, atomic bomb 93. Japan has a history of atomic and nuclear fallout from experimentation. Somebody says, is Bitcoin a substitute for the dollar? Well, I think whenever they do put us on their one world currency, it will definitely be an electronic currency. I don't know if it'll be Bitcoin, but remember, right, Bitcoin has a good name for money. Yeah, Bitcoin's 72 with the alphabetic order, so is money. Oops, when spelled right, money. So, could it be Bitcoin? It's definitely the electronic currency with most traction. I see some of you guys saying you're going to check out the BitTube thing. Yeah, it's probably worth checking out. So, you know, a lot of people will write things like this. We can't go above lower Earth orbit. Research firmament. And my thought is, well, what about satellites? You know, it does seem that satellites are a real thing. GPS, satellite radio, I mean, just the things that we can access as consumers. Some people say that all of that stuff's just run by higher power frequency radio towers. Maybe, but I don't know. To just blanketly say that we can't escape low Earth orbit and they can't get through the firmament. How do you prove such a thing? I mean, you can believe it, but to me, satellites are a hard thing to say they don't exist. Ray Caruth out of jail. I'll look into that, Special K. Let me write it down so I don't forget. Ray Caruth. I want to know why they have the Roberto Clemente thing up here for the NLCS. I'm trying to figure out why they put him up today. It's not his birthday or the day he died. He's someone who was murdered by the numbers. Ray Caruth played for the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, he did. So he's about to be released. Is he going to be released tomorrow? Tomorrow is the day. Oh, later this month. Here, let me just see what day he's supposed to be released. I was going to say, if he's released tomorrow, that's interesting. I got to love that this is posted at 3:22, of course. Okay. October 22nd. 32. Date with 43 numerology. That's a date with a life lesson number of 43, which stands out because football's 43, Masonics 43, Killing's 43. I think Panthers is even 43. Yeah, it is. So he's going to get out on a date with a life lesson number of 43. What's today? So that's 10 days from today. So what is that, a Monday? Who's playing Monday Night Football? Monday Night Football, October 22nd, 2018. Obviously, a football riddle. Can I get Monday, October 22nd here? The Giants and the Falcons. So it's where they're hosting the Super Bowl. The Falcons and the Panthers are in the same division. I'll think more about it. There's obviously a riddle here with it. It's a football story. I'll look more into that. I'm sure there's a whole lot more to it. Dutch Sense, that's a channel that I don't trust one bit. He's even made videos saying that my work's bogus. So anyone who takes the time to make a video slandering me is just someone who I throw out. What Dutch Sense seems like to me is an agent. And if I remember right, the gematria of his channel, I don't usually like to make blanket statements about a channel based on their channel gematria, but Dutch Sense has that 58 connection. I've seen that from another channel recently talking about my work. Marty Leeds 58, Marty 58, Dutch Sense 58. So to me, it seems like Dutch Sense is just getting information from the people who simulate all these weather warfare things by the numbers. The way it's always looked to me with Dutch Sense. Plus, I mean, if you watch his thing, he has like circles going over the entire Earth. So. Yeah, Ray Caruth and OJ both released in October. Well, the name Simpson's 33, just like October is. I didn't check the gematria of Ray Caruth. It seems like a lot of you are into this Ray Caruth story. Ray Caruth's even 113, huh? 67 like Killer. He's got numbers. So I'll do more work on that. I love when people who are here who troll my work all the time ask me for picks. It's like, yeah, okay, you troll everybody and then you want me to give you information. Okay. Learn the way the world works, buddy. Somebody told me to use the live chat instead of top chat once. I didn't notice any difference. It still jumped down. So, you know, like somebody writes, have you seen the composite images from the ISS? They don't show a single satellite, not a one. Well, use logic, man. That's just such a bad argument. The whole point of using composites is so that you can get a clear image of the Earth. So why would they put, you know, an image of a satellite when they're just trying to show the Earth? That's not a good argument. What do I think of the Jurassic Liars channel? I'm not a fan of his work. He's a weird dude. And yeah, just not a fan of that guy. Whoops, Holly had something here about Roberto Clemente, and then it jumped down. I was just about to read it. Clemente collected his 3,000th hit in his final at bat of the 1972 season. No one could have expected that it would be his last. Yeah, that's tragic. He was taken by the code. Here, let me load up my book real quick about Roberto Clemente here. The nice thing about the ebook is you can just type in what you're searching for. What? What? Well, normally you can. Why is it not coming up? Huh. That is very strange. Well, I know I have a blog post on Roberto Clemente's death. I don't know why I didn't just pull up there. So Roberto Clemente died in a plane crash taking aid to Puerto Rico. The day he died, December 31st, date with 43 numerology, plane crash has that gematria 43, as does Pirates, who we played for. And again, Masonics 43, Killing 43, RIP 43. We just talked about this with Ray Caruth. He died on New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve also corresponds with plane crash. So the full date numerology also connected to 115, Masonic and Killing 115 as well. JFK died on a date with 115 numerology. He died on his 136th day of his age. That's the 16th triangular number on the Pirates hat is the P, the 16th letter. He played exactly 18 seasons, getting his 3,000th hit. Baseball 18. So Roberto Clemente was, notice Roberto Clemente is also 170 like sacrifice. He was my dad's favorite baseball player to watch. What Roberto Clemente was to my dad was Vladimir Guerrero to me. I think Vladimir Guerrero is the best baseball player I've ever seen with my own eyes. Best arm. Great hitter. Even though the games are fake, the talent's real. Roberto Clemente was the man. So was Vladimir. Somebody says I should come to New York with my girlfriend. Well, my girlfriend's not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. She just got to study like crazy. You guys think I work on this a lot. She studies even more than I work on this. Her school's pretty tough. Somebody says, what are my other thoughts on the Golden Gate besides August 11th, 2019? Well, again, the Golden Gate symbolism is about how the Jewish Messiah is supposed to arrive, and we're looking at that date, August 11th, 2019, and it's interesting how the San Francisco mayor lines up. Of course, the Golden Gate's one of those things that there's a lot of predictive programming for in terms of it being destroyed through Hollywood films. Let's see. All right, you guys, I think it's winding down here. I haven't seen anybody ask about any other news stories besides Ray Caruth. Fluoride Jones says, buy the book. Yeah, I wish you guys would, but Tom McNamara, I believe that's my man who's sharing my book a lot. If you're that person, Tom, who's reading the book, I appreciate you doing that. My girlfriend, she's studying pharmacy. She wants to be a pharmacist. It's funny. All her years before she decided to go into pharmacy, she was going to do dentistry, but then she changed it to pharmacy at the last second. And not exactly a big fan of the pharmacy industry, but she wants to study pharmacy so that she can help out the people where she's from. She's from a third world country, and they don't really have much medical understanding, and there's not really a lot of doctors or over there. A lot of people, when they need medicine, they end up getting the wrong stuff and have even more problems afterwards. So that's her motivation to become a pharmacist. Marty McSuperfly says about the NLCS tonight, it's all about Brett, Brewers, and beer. He's talking about Brett Kavanaugh, who loves his beer. And I did see Brett Kavanaugh tell a story about buying his friend's tickets to a Boston Red Sox game, too. I did catch that. All right, last request before we end it. Just any other news stories you guys want me to look at besides Ray Caruth. And you're all welcome. Please hit the like button before you go if you can. And, you know, that book, I'm not going to keep it at $5 for much longer. I got to see if bumping the price up makes people value it more. So thanks for promoting the book, everyone. I do see you guys out there promoting it. Appreciate it. That's great to hear, Tom. Glad you're getting more subscribers. I think you're a good speaker. You got a good voice, man. Let's see. All right, I'm not seeing any requests for any other stories. What are my thoughts about David Icke? David Icke seems like, you know, he's revealing some truths and also some stuff that seems kind of far out. So I don't know. Most of these people who are famous in the truth community, I'm suspicious of. So, he says that reptilians rule the world, and I've never seen any reptilians, but I guess you never know. Somebody said I went into a trance. No, I'm just reading. I'm just reading to see if anybody's got any requests for any other news stories. Sometimes you guys see news stories that I'm not aware of. They are saying complete internet censorship is here. Well, I mean, it's felt that way. I'm on channel number 20 here. So, have I ever decoded the word reptilian? It is an interesting decode. It has that 58,139 gematria, just like Freemasonry. You see that? Yeah, I've known that for a while. I talked about it somewhere before. So it's like reptilian code for, you know, they, like the movie They Live. But again, before I go, if you're looking for some movies to watch this weekend, I always recommend watching They Live. The motto in that movie is "They live, we sleep," and the movie is a clear metaphor for gematria. Notice 74 in our most pure cipher, just like gematria 74, like English, like Masonic, also like Jewish. They live, we sleep. But the same guy who made They Live made The Thing, and the word thing also has the gematria 58, like they. And if you watch both of those movies and you think about it, you can see the relationship between the two films. Some people say The Thing is the unofficial sequel to They Live. Another great movie to check out, you guys, is Knowing. Knowing has the gematria, has a lot of interesting gematria. Nicolas Cage film. If you've never seen this film or heard about it, Nicolas Cage is supposed to be a mathematics professor at MIT, and he realizes that there's these numerical patterns and tragedies in history, and by studying the numerical patterns, he's able to figure out when the next tragedy is going to happen. Sound familiar? The movie starts with him looking at Saturn through a telescope, or it's pretty early in the film. Saturn sums to 93 in that same cipher, and as we know, this entire code is in accordance to time. Saturn, the keeper of time to the occult. So Knowing's a great movie to watch. Other movies to watch. I'll give you guys some movies to watch before we go, since it's the weekend. Maybe you'll find some time to watch some movies. Other movies to watch. This one right here. Wag the Dog. This movie is a complete mocking of what's taking place in this world. You don't know what this movie's about? It's about the president. It's just before re-election time, and a scandal breaks out in the news about how he had sex with what they call a Firefly girl, which is the same as a Girl Scout. So, like, think of the little girls that are in Girl Scouts. And this is the national news story, and it's right before he's up for re-election. And his team saying, "Oh my God, how's he going to win the election with this in the news?" And Robert De Niro, the strategist, he comes in and he says, "What we're going to do is we're going to create a war, because you can't remove a wartime president." And they do it by hiring the best director in Hollywood to simulate a fake war in the news. And in the film, they create history from the past and put it in the National Archives. They do all this stuff that's pretty much just like how they do to us every single day. And I think the movie's really funny, like in a tragic way. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they put this in a film. The other thing to think about is this movie came out at the same time that the Bill Clinton sex scandal broke out and the war with Kosovo broke out. And the war they start in this film is in the same region that Kosovo's in. So major predictive programming, major mocking. I think everybody should watch this movie if they've never seen it. And my favorite movie of all time is this movie. This is the I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore film. Another movie full of predictive programming network. It's one you got to see. A lot of important dialogue about how they want to make the news entertainment based. So. Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah, that's another good movie to watch. Eyes Wide Shut. That movie kind of gives you a clue to how these elite roll, you know. So if you've never seen Eyes Wide Shut, there's Tom Cruise is this doctor for wealthy people, and he gets word about this exclusive late night meeting on the weekend for powerful people, and you're supposed to wear a mask and a cloak. And he wants to sneak into it and see what it's all about, and he does. And they figure out when he's there that he's not supposed to be there. And a woman, one of the models that's there, she kind of like protects him and says, it's like they're going to kill Tom Cruise for being in this thing that he's not supposed to be in. And this woman's like, "Don't take him, take me instead." And the next day, there's a news headline about how a model overdosed and died from a drug overdose. And Tom Cruise finds out that woman that's in the headlines, this famous model for overdosing, is actually the same woman that was at the party that vouched for him. And, he ends up talking to one of these elite who's connected to it, who he serves as a doctor. And he says, like, "What's the big deal, man? She was a drug user. I mean, it's like it was going to happen a matter of time anyway, but." Again, kind of maybe a cooling in. We see about how these celebrities die, and they die suspiciously. Is it that, they're doing things they're not supposed to? They're breaking oaths. They're going places that, is above their pay grade. So, yeah, Eyes Wide Shut's a really interesting movie. It's kind of long and slow, but if you like dialogue, and it's not a bad movie. If I'm not mistaken, in my book, I show how that film is synced up with Stanley Kubrick's death. And if I'm not mistaken, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, who star in that film, if I'm not mistaken, they were still married when they made that movie and then got divorced shortly after, which is also interesting. Oh, yeah, Stanley Kubrick was absolutely one of them. Yeah, 2001 Space Odyssey, that's another movie worth checking out. That came out in 1968. Drug Users 113. So is Overdose. I never noticed that Drug User was. Let me see that. Huh. Drug User is actually a lot like Overdose. It's got a lot of overlap. Look at that. 113, 113, 103, 103, 41, 41. That is interesting. Oh yeah, somebody says, what about the movie Conspiracy Theory? I actually haven't seen that movie. I know about that movie, Mel Gibson. Maybe I'll check that movie out if I can get a break. So. Yeah, I seen A Beautiful Mind. A Beautiful Mind, that's kind of like this too. He's plotting out things, showing how it's all connected. Yeah. Enemy of the State, that's a movie I haven't seen. I haven't seen Rosemary's Baby. Yeah, oh yeah, Fight Club. Fight Club is one I've talked about for a long time. Fight Club and The Matrix both came out not long before 9/11, and Fight Club ends with those two towers getting demolished right at the end of the film. Talk about predictive programming. Um, and The Matrix too, you know. So yeah, Pie's a good movie. I've seen Pie. In my book, I decode Pie. There's a movie you can watch on YouTube right now just called Gematria. Uh, let's see if I can find it. It's a pretty slow movie, and really the only thing that I really took away from it, once I wasn't watching carefully enough, is just the dialogue at the very end. I believe the movie came out in 2014. Here it is, Gematria short film. This is the one. So. Fight Club's 47, and the guy who wrote the film is from Seattle on the 47th parallel. And consider the firm that built the World Trade Centers is from Seattle too, Magnuson Klemenkic Associates. I've always thought that's interesting. Yeah, that's a good movie. The movie that breaks down The Shining. It's called Room 237. It's also Room 237 in The Shining, but there's a film that breaks it down that's pretty interesting. Did I listen to Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis? I did not. I'll have to look that up. And speaking of which, you guys, I forgot. I'm going to do a radio program tomorrow. Hold on, I have to go to my email because I forgot what the name of the show is. Hold on. There we go. I'll do a video letting you know the information. I know how to contact the guy through Skype and where I'm supposed to be. Maybe that's what it's called, Inside the Eye. Somebody said that this man teaches about gematria, and I hadn't heard of him before, so somebody said that him and I should work together. It's called Inside the Eye. This is it right here. So tomorrow, I'm going to be on tomorrow. I'm on the West Coast, so I get on at 9 a.m. So on the East Coast, it's noon when this is going on. But this will be the spot that you listen, Inside the Eye Live. Saturdays from 10 to 1 Eastern, so that means I'll be on for the last hour, noon to 1. So InsideTheEyeLive.com, doing the radio, and I'm interested in it because I've never done a radio interview with somebody who's already familiar with the subject. InsideTheEyeLive.com. Inside the Eye 74, huh? Well, he's familiar with gematria, so. Oh, I see. You got to use the S exception here. Again, anytime there's an S, you can add +9. So that's interesting. That's interesting. I don't think they're going to shut down the internet, but they might eventually shut down the truth on the internet. So, Long Kiss Goodnight. I've heard that name of that movie. I haven't seen it. All right, you guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I got to do some stuff, and then I got to be back on the internet for my Patreon customers at 7 p.m. So, there's only so many hours a day, and they're disappearing on me. All right. You have a good day. Thank you, everyone, for supporting. If you can, go out and get that book. As soon as it's sold out at the $5 level, the price is going up. So we're in the last days of getting it for $5. There's somewhere around 100 copies left, maybe a little bit under 100 left at $5. So they'll probably be gone in the next day or two. All right, Truth Seeker. How do I log off this thing? I always forget. There it is. All right, until next time.